We got breaking news. The 8-3 Arizona Wildcats are actually a really good football team. Welcome on in live from Studio K. It is the AZ Wildcats podcast post-game show with our guy, the one, the only, Damon Fairall, live from the Soul in Tucson. And Damon, we got to start here. We're 8-3, baby. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Sitting here 8-3, and you're live from Casino del Sol Stadium.
I am, in fact, live from Casino del Sol Stadium. Kevin Thomas, unbelievable season that Brent Brennan and this staff have put together this season. Noah Fifita, all these transfers that we brought in. I can't think of one person that would have predicted 8-3 going into this season with one game left against Arizona State. And man, I'm fired up, Kevin. I was in the crowd. I did my part. Listen, I came to the Soul today to bring some heat, to, talk a little bit of mess. And I did just that in the crowd, screaming, yelling, and trying to be as loud for about, 3 to 5 people, because I still didn't love the turnout today. I won't lie, but it doesn't matter. Let's talk about how good this football team is, and let's talk about how we can get the W to go 9-3 next week.
I mean, you say you were in the crowd doing your part. Were the tarps on or were the tarps off?
See, I asked all my friends. I was like, should we go? Should we go right now? And they were like, no. I gained a little bit of weight in the last year. So I think the tarps off was maybe reneged by one of my buddies, potentially feeling a little bit self-conscious. But it's a big regret for sure. Here's what I will say. What a win, what a team. And man, I was just absolutely fired up doing some of these in the crowd, doing some of these with some of these. Like, I mean, I'm doing all the sellies with all the players on the field. And we were fired up, especially in our section.
I mean, how about that second half? Deborah Owen says it in the chat, and I think we should probably start there, because I tweeted it, Damon. If I had a vote, I'm putting it in for Danny Gonzalez for the Broyles Award. Like, that man, what he has done with that defense this year, turning them into one of not only the best units in the Big 12, but one of the best units in the country from a passing defense standpoint especially, right? I mean, this Baylor team started this game with 2 touchdowns. Josh Cameron was doing the Victor Cruz salsa, and the Big 12 Conference was tagging Victor Cruz on Twitter saying, you got some competition for your salsa dance, and then they get shut out in the second half. One of the best quarterbacks in the country, one of the best wide receiving / pass catching, rooms in the country. And Danny Gonzalez, as Seth Dagey likes to say, went out there and choked them out in the second half. And I think that is an incredible performance. Someone said it in the chat earlier. It looks like Connor said it in the chat earlier, that every win feels special. And I don't know if it's because of how bad last season was. I don't know if it's because of how good these wins are. But I think you're right. Like, these wins feel special. Every performance feels like a statement. And today it was a massive statement in that second half that this defense is serious. Really, really serious.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Kevin, I also want to get a little serious here for a second and say shout out to our presenting sponsor of Branded Bills, who for sponsoring this fine podcast, the premium headwear and apparel in the game. Head on over to brandedbills.com. Use promo code BBPHNX. Get 15% off that first order. I got Branded Bills on my head right now wearing our great Phoenix hat, and I'm so fired up about it. Showing it all to all the people here at Arizona Stadium. But, man, did I just see a lot of Branded Bills hats in general. I'm looking around. I can't stop seeing Branded Bills hats all over the place, Kevin, and we love our friends over at Branded Bills. But you're absolutely right. What a statement by this defense today against an offense that is elite. elite. Like, if Baylor had a average defense, they would be around where Arizona is, right? They'd be an 8-win, 9-win football team. And instead, they have an elite offense. They have a not so great defense, and it's a situation where Arizona had to go out there, had to go good on good, defense on offense. Baylor kind of felt like they got whatever they wanted in that first half in particular, especially running the football. It felt like that was kind of throwing the Arizona defense off guard a little bit because they were expecting a little bit more passing game from Sawyer Robertson. And then what do you see? Oh, that's right. Just this team shut Baylor out in the second half. I mean, unbelievable stuff. This defense is like, I want to say it's the best non-Big Ten SEC defense in the entire country. Like, I think that's fair at this point. I think we've seen enough of this season to say, throw away the Bamas, the Georgias, the Ohio States of the world. This defense is absolutely legit, and it's doing it in a conference that is known for playing offense. It's unbelievable, man. What a job by Danny Gonzalez. I've never seen a turnaround really like this in my life.
It's incredible, Damon. It truly is. And I think the turnaround, not only on the defensive side of things, but on the offensive side of things, you had Chris Hudson have an absolute day today. Mossed a couple dudes as well with some really timely catches. I know he had that one where he caught it just a yard short, like he ran the route just a yard short. It should have been on the 41, ran on the 40. I don't care. The man had a great day, and I think you need guys like that to step up in these games, right, where we're coming into it saying you're probably going to have to score 30 to get Baylor out of there, and ultimately they were on pace to have to score 30 until Danny Gonzalez's defense said enough is enough, and we're going to put a stop to all this Sawyer Robertson nonsense, and we're going to get after him play after play after play. Damon, what were some of the reactions to Chris Hudson's plays there like today? I feel like he had some really explosive plays. Was he popping the tarps off the fans with his play too?
Dude, that last one that he had, that Moss catch that he had down the sideline, that basically I would say kind of iced the game, right? Like that was the moment where, Arizona had the upper hand, no doubt about it. But when Chris Hudson caught that pass, it felt like, okay, this one is completely over. There's no coming back from this. Don't tell Dave Aranda that. Don't tell Dave Aranda that, because if he's down 50 with 2 minutes left, somehow he still thinks he has a chance to win the game. But Chris Hudson basically called game on that catch. That was special, man. And I tweeted it out earlier during the game. Like, Chris Hudson has taken a massive step towards being the premier wide receiver on this team. There's no question about it. He is the target on offense. I think that this offense is not the calling card of this team. The defense clearly is, right? But with Chris Hudson playing the way that he has been recently, with Noah Fifita and that chemistry building week by week, it feels like, he is the offense at this point. Like, this passing offense runs through Chris Hudson. And what a special game from Chris Hudson today. In fact, I think it was so special we made him our King of A Mountain here, Kevin.
You are correct. King of A Mountain today, Chris Hudson. That is good hosting by our guy Damon Fairall. 9 catches, 133 yards, and a touchdown on the day. I mean, some really impressive catches, some really sure-handed catches as well, really using his hands to be strong on the ball. Like you said, you needed a guy that we've talked about it all year. You needed a guy to step up and be that number one receiver. And Chris Hudson this year has certainly taken that mantle. He's utilized his speed, his experience, and his overall skill set to become that wide receiver one for this Arizona Wildcats squad. And while we're talking about that receiving core, it pretty much was Chris Hudson today, and that was about it. You had one Gio Richardson catch, you had one Chris Hunter catch, and then one from Mahdi and two from Spivey. So the production that Chris Hudson was able to give you today, not only was it like really pretty in the way that it happened and really cool that he got over 130 yards, but it was necessary, because without that, you did not have the super high level playmaking. And I guess, you didn't really give other receivers the chance because Chris Hudson was playing so well. But super necessary performance from Chris Hudson, and clutch when you needed him most.
And on top of that, the run game was not working in the first half. It wasn't at all. Arizona was averaging 3.7 yards per carry in the first half against the Big 12's worst rushing defense. And I think in large part that was because Baylor was predicting that Arizona was going to try to establish the run game and use that to win this game. And then when adjustments had to be made, Chris Hudson showed out, and that opened up the rest of this offense, allowed for Ishmael Mahdi to break one, allowed for Hedrick Risino to break one. And that was, when the ball game got iced. Again, don't tell Dave Aranda that, but that was when the ball game got iced in particular. I think Chris Hudson was unbelievable in this game. And I didn't even know that those were the receptions were that stark. 9 catches to 2 as the next leading guy.
Yeah.
And that guy, and, hand up, we've been saying feed Trey Spivey a lot more, and it wasn't a great pass by Noah Fifita, but Trey Spivey, kind of put an interception in a Baylor defender's lap in a pivotal moment. And Chris Hudson is just playing better and better each week. So I think Chris Hudson has clearly taken the mantle as the alpha wide receiver on this team. And, it's you couldn't have it at a better time, because it feels like all season long we've been kind of begging out for that primary alpha wide receiver to step up. And as we're getting into our most pivotal games of the season, Arizona State and then a bowl game, no better time to start playing your best football.
And we're going to talk a lot about that Arizona State matchup, I'm sure, not only this week upcoming, but probably at the tail end of this post-game show. So I don't want to get into that right now, as Damon literally stands in front of what will be ours this year, the Territorial Cup. But, yeah, Chris Hudson, what a day, what a performance, the toughness, the catching, all of it. But you mentioned the off-target throw from Noah Fifita. I feel like even though he didn't have, statistically a very good day, 14 for 25, 183, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, kind of a pedestrian day by Noah Fifita standards, I still feel like he was making all the timely plays. I don't think,
sure.
and the 1 interception, like you said, was kind of just bad fortune. He threw it behind Trey Spivey, and he went to get a hand on it, and it just so happened. So it also went off of, I think, Nunu Watley's arm. So it goes off of Trey Spivey's hand, Nunu Watley's arm, and then into the Baylor's defender's arm. So a little bit of bad fortune there. I personally didn't, because I was talking in an empty room by myself, and things are echoing back into my ears. So maybe the people did. But what was that?
That sounded like lightning just struck Arizona Stadium directly where I'm standing. But all good. Let's move on. I agree. Noah Fifita, it wasn't his best game. He wasn't going full takeover mode, but he did play a good enough football game to win. And one thing that I thought that he did well today was evade pressure.
Yeah.
When he had guys, free rushers in his face, he was escaping them and putting them on the floor moment by moment. And making plays down the field. That Trey Spivey, drop to interception was one of those plays where he evaded the pocket. He probably could have ran that football for a first down. And in hindsight, I'm sure in film study, Seth Dahy's going to say, hey, man, we're just going to tuck this one and run for 9 yards, But, I'm not going to fault a guy for trying to make a play. And also, he did put it on Trey Spivey's body. It wasn't as if it was an uncatchable football. So I thought Noah Fifita played decent today. I didn't think it was his best game. But, this game was won by the defense. You didn't need the offense to come out and win this one.
You did not, and we're going to talk more about that defense on the other side of our first break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. So leave a like, stick around, and most importantly, do not go anywhere. Wait, actually, Damon, before we kick to the break, sorry to tease everybody with an ad break like that and then not go to the ad break, but was the shirtless section larger this week than it was the week prior? Because I just saw
Absolutely.
a picture come across my feed, and it looked pretty successful. It really looks successful.
Absolutely. I don't know. I don't want to spoil the Dawghouse potentially if you made it this, Kevin, but I was having some problems with the connection over at Arizona Stadium. And when I was having said problems, I was trying to tweet, "So it begins," when it was one row of people. And it ended up being an entire section filled of shirtless dudes. Dudes rock. And yeah, it was definitely bigger than last week's, if I had to say so myself. Just everybody getting in on it. You started seeing the Zona Zoo filling out, Kevin. They were going up all the stands. Like, you could see a single file line of dudes just walking up the stands like this, and you're like, oh, I know where they're going. And then we just kept getting a bigger and bigger conglomerate of dudes rock.
I know that the turnover sword was not actually initially Arizona's IP, so to speak. And I know that the tarpless section is not necessarily Arizona's original IP, but they're looking for a tradition, Damon. And
I think the sword is ours. No.
it was an idea that I think occurred first when Nansen was at like USC or something. And then when he came to U of A, he was like, I want to bring this with me. Like, I want to do this here, but we don't have any ties to like gladiators or like actual swords. So what are we going to do?
So here's
and then
a cactus.
they draw the cactus, and now we had the turnover sword, and that is the story. But yeah, I think it might be a natural thing. Maybe it just sticks to Tucson. Who knows? But we do actually have an ad break to get to here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. So leave a like, stick around, and do not go anywhere. And as you saw the other day, me and Damon had some beautiful shots of Anejo tequila with our friends over at Three Amigos Tequila. Not only did we have some samples of their tequila, the bottles, well, I say we sampled it. We kind of topped off a bottle of Ramona's Reserve just between me and Damon, but we now have some shot glasses. And if you have not seen the shot glasses, check out our pregame show where me and Damon put them to use in our Shots Fired segment. Shout out to our friends over at Three Amigos Tequila, because around here, we cheer hard and we celebrate harder, sometimes with our tarps off. I add that parenthetically, but we always keep it local. And that is why we drink with our friends over at Three Amigos Tequila. It's family owned right here in the Valley, founded in 1939 and crafted in Mexico with 100% blue Weber agave. And it's award winning for a reason: smooth, bold, and made for moments that matter. So this season, tailgate, toast, and celebrate with the Valley's favorite tequila, Three Amigos. Make sure to try that Ramona's Reserve because it is truly special. And also, Damon, I need to tell the people about Monarch. Our friends at Monarch, not only do they help people around the globe, but they help your boy. They help me manage my money. And this is necessary because I like to spend my money on things that I do not need, right? And that's when Monarch comes in and says, you know what are you doing? Why do you have a new subscription? Did you know you had a new subscription? We're looking out for you, man. Did you want to set a goal? What's your financial goal? Give us the amount and then link an account. And every time you put money in that account, we're going to update your goal, Kevin, so that you can save money for what you want. And it's not just about me. It's also about you. So I want to make sure that you understand that this is a financial opportunity that you cannot allow to slip through the cracks, because Monarch is built for people with busy lives. It's like a personal CFO. And if you're not using Monarch, you're leaving money on the table. Monarch is beloved by both users and experts, named the best budgeting app of 2025 by the Wall Street Journal. And if you don't believe them, believe Forbes, who said it's the best app for couples. So don't let this opportunity slip through your fingertips. Use code PHNX at monarch.com in the browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com, code PHNX.
Speaking of money, Kevin, your mother, June Thomas, very generous $20 super chat in support of today's W. Where was Wilma Wildcat? Wilbur is a media hog. Speaking of, I will say that last night at Ari McDonald night over at McHale Center, they celebrated Wilbur and Wilma's anniversary. So happy anniversary to our favorite mascots, the best mascots in the game. I believe maybe the only married couple between mascots.
Certainly the only one that
athletics.
still lasted this long, right?
Yeah, the only healthy relationship, that's for damn sure. But shout out Wilbur, and shout out Wilma. But yeah, also shout out everybody here in this chat. We appreciate you guys so much for rocking with us. I love this comment from Lost Highway. I listen, I think that the fan support was going to be a little bit better today. I really did. It was an early kickoff. There was a slight chance of rain, and it started raining at the very tail end of the game. I thought the crowd was going to be a little bit more packed. That being said, I did think that the people that were inside the stadium showed a lot of energy tonight, or today, I should say. And so shout out to everybody that was here in the crowd. I thought we brought it.
You know who else brought it? That's a good way to transition unintentionally into what I wanted to talk about, because Jameson in the chat says, remember when y'all were saying to fire Brent Brennan? And I responded with, yes, because I do remember that. Because it was not that long ago that I felt that way about our head coach of the Arizona football Wildcats. And there's a reason for that. Because he's actually bringing it week in, week out now. There's wins to attach to his name. There's energy to see when you're watching it on TV or in person. He's really feeling these games out with his team. It no longer feels like he is just a passenger in the car, hoping that Danny Gonzalez and Seth Daggy can get him home. He's now actually like got the map out, and he's trying to like help them navigate it. And it feels like he is kind of really taking over that CEO role, and he's changed. He's evolved as a head coach. So, yes, I do remember when I was saying fire Brent Brennan, because one, it was not long ago, but two, I believe he was acting like a different football coach last year in his first year on the job at Arizona than he is today, almost finishing his second year at the U of A. So he's a completely different guy, in my opinion, from last year to this year. Not like as a person, but in terms of outwardly as a head coach, whether it be on the sidelines, in the press conferences, he's 1,000% more confident, more assertive, and it seems like he's really got a game plan this year as opposed to last year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't remember us saying that Brent Brennan should be fired post, like, once spring ball started. I think that most of our negativity and you know, like pushback on Brennan was post of last season, before the team kind of started, you know, bringing in new coaches, new players. And then we decided, you know what would be stupid? To be fully out on this guy when he's brought in an entire new, you know, group of individuals around him that could really change things here at Arizona. And so I think, honestly, Kevin, I thought that me and you personally tried to give him a chance from spring on. And while people told us that we were clowns for doing so. It's funny to hear it from both angles, because it's like, often, as with most things, you're in the middle on something, and then the people that are on this side tell you that you're an idiot, and the people on this side also tell you you're an idiot. But listen, I'll put my hand up and say I thought that you couldn't win big with Brent Brennan here at Arizona because I didn't trust him in road environments. And he's since proven me wrong. I don't know what else to say. Like, he beat Colorado, even against Houston. Like, that was a tough, not a crazy crowd, but really good team that you had to go travel and play against in Houston in an early kickoff on the East Coast. So shout out Brent Brennan. We'll put our hand up. I put myself in the doghouse against Colorado specifically for this exact moment. Brent Brennan he deserves all the apologies, all the respect. Yeah, man, what an absolute turnaround from last season to this season. Does Arizona have the best athletic department in the two major sports in the entire conference?
It's possible. It's certainly possible, especially with the way Texas Tech played basketball last night.
Texas Tech.
Yeah, but they played really bad last night. I will say this, though. I don't know if Arizona has the best duo of programs in the conference, but we certainly have the most positive chatter in all of internet history in Deborah Owens, who is actually not apologizing for saying Brent Brennan should be fired, because Deborah never said that. She's apologizing because she made fun of Brent Brennan over the cookie comment he made a couple weeks ago in the presser. And that's how nice Deborah Owens is. But no, yeah, in all seriousness, I think this is, oh man, the YouTube thing switched the names up. So Lamb of Not, but I know you're in here all the time, says, I agree, I owe him an apology too. He's made me a believer. And I put that out, last week after the game last week, about how I think a lot of us owe Brent Brennan an apology, whether we want to admit it or not. I think most people have been pretty open about, yeah, man, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I was not familiar with your game, Brent Brennan. But I do think we are at that stage where, yes, the schedule this year was favorable, but what's he supposed to do? Not win the games, and then you're going to complain about that. So he's handling the teams that are in front of him. He's evolving week over week as a head coach. I think that's really all you can ask. And so, yeah, I apologize to Brent Brennan, and that's about it right now. You know what I mean?
Listen, I'm not going to apologize for getting teams at the right time. We've talked about this on our show before. ASU did that in lieu of a Big 12 championship last year. They got every team on their schedule at the right time when they were playing their worst football all year. So why would I put my hand up and apologize for that? These are games that this team did not win last season. These are games that this team got blown out in last season. And Arizona has completely turned it around. This conference record, the way that they've handled conference play, especially post two just like brutal losses back to back, the way they've turned around this season, it's hard to say enough about what it means to this university and what it means to people like me who are so locked into this football program. people like Cohen Kenny sitting over here, my guy, putting in the grind sesh. And we were just talking about how special this season has been after the game was over. Unreal, man. Unreal. Like, shout out Brent Brennan. Shout out the hires he made in this offseason, because I think that's the crux of the change that was made, was that Brent Brennan made bad hires last year. And then this year he completely flipped that script and turned it on its head. And he hired Seth Dagey, and he decided to promote Danny Gonzalez, who a lot of people were like, what the hell? Our linebackers were terrible last year. What are you doing? And then Danny Gonzalez said, hold up, I'm going to have a top 10 defense in college football. Watch me. And then this elite Baylor offense literally got shut out in, 30 minutes of football. This might be the best Arizona defense I've seen. Man, put it in the chat, Arizona fans that have been here for a while. I mean, I know 2023's defense was pretty damn good, but I think this defense is better. I really do. We might have to go back to like a Stukes era. I'm not sure that even had a better defense. It might legitimately be a Dick Tomey defense that we're talking about, which was like one of the best defenses in college football history is what we're comparing it to now. Special stuff. Shout out Brent Brennan. Shout out Seth Dagey, and definitely shout out Danny Gonzalez.
Yeah, definitely shout out Danny Gonzalez. And honestly, let's get to our awards tracker now, because we're talking about this defense. We're talking about the impact of Danny Gonzalez, and he is none other than our MVP for this week.
Wow.
And that's the overall defense this week. I understand that for week 7, we have him individually as the MVP, but I think so many players for this defense played well today. So many people led by Danny Gonzalez did their jobs at such a high level today that he had to be the MVP, in my opinion, Damon. I know I texted you about it. You and I didn't really get to do too much collaboration with our awards tracker this week, but Danny Gonzalez is the MVP with that defense he put out there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And Danny Gonzalez has been, tied with Fifita or close to it at the top of MVPs this entire season? Pretty crazy to think about when all things considered. And I know the first time we kind of did it as a joke, and then it just kind of kept ringing true over and over and over again that we had to do that. I hear you, Saul. I think that Scooby Wright is the best individual player for sure. He would take over games by himself. You had good players on that defense as well in Shaq Richardson, Jared Tevez, Tremaine Bondurant. Like, there were really good players on that defense. But statistically, I don't think they were anywhere close to what this defense is doing right now, being top 10 in like EPA per play in the entire country. Like I said, this is legitimately the best SEC, non-SEC or Big Ten defense, I think, in the entire country.
It's kind of unbelievable when you think about it. Like, the turnaround, I feel like every 30 minutes on game days, I'm just kind of like, wow. Like, what a turnaround from last year to now. Moving on to our next award, Damon, Offensive Player of the Game, Chris Hudson. He was our King of A Mountain. I feel like that kind of goes without saying. Do we have anything else to talk about with our beloved transfer, Chris Hudson?
Just keep it up, because we need you next week.
1,000%.
Listen, the Arizona State got back the best receiver probably in the entire country. Well, Jeremiah Smith exists, and so does Carnell Tate, but maybe best non-Ohio State receiver in the country in Jordan Tyson. And yeah, he's back this week against Colorado, meaning he's probably going to play next week against Arizona, given that ASU might have a shot at the Big 12 title on the line. Chris Hudson is playing at that level right now. So if we have one of those guys, I think that gives us a good kind of leg to stand on in regards to, how our opponent is going to try to play against us with such a stud of an offensive weapon over there. And Chris Hudson is really playing some elite football right now.
Tucson 520 in the chat says, Damon kind of reminds me of a young John Cusack. Do you see that? Do you see the comparison?
Before. I think I've heard that before. I hear a lot of Ed Norton. I get a lot of Ryan Nelson as well. So, it's random white guy with facial hair typically gets thrown at me, but we'll add it to the list.
And then Tyron John 9848 says, this defense with that Rich Rod offense wins the Pac-12. That bend don't break defense 14 was gut-wrenching to watch at times.
Absolutely. Like, I think that defense was totally the definition of bend don't break. Kind of like Cincinnati this year, where it's like they would allow you to get down the field and then they would force a turnover on you because Scooby Wright and Tremaine Bondurant forced like 20 turnovers combined somehow between the two of them that year. It was unbelievable to watch, and we had a lot of luck on our side. They were totally the cardiac cats in 2014, but this doesn't feel like luck to me, man. This feels like this defense is better than every offense that they play against, and they continue to show that every single week, including against the best offense we've maybe played this entire season.
I totally agree, Damon. And we move on our awards tracker. Speaking of that defense, defensive player of the game. Now, here is where you could really, I think, go back and forth about multiple different contenders for this award, right? Because Dalton Johnson led the team in total tackles today, also led the team in solo tackles today, and he had half a tackle for loss. However,
as he often does.
Correct. Genesis Smith also balled out today. Tay Brown, he had a sack and a half, 2 tackles for loss, and 10 total tackles. But I think I'm going to give it to Treydan Stukes, and this is why I'm going to do that. Because Stukes, as we know, is a unk, but in a positive way. He's an unk in a good way. He is a leader. He's experienced. He's been through multiple things before. Same thing with Dalton Johnson, but I think Stukes being out for so long coming into this season, I think it meant a lot more for him to be out there, not only for him, but to his teammates as well. And to see him on senior night when him, Dalton Johnson, other players on this team could have went anywhere, they chose to stay at Arizona. And for him to get multiple disruptive plays today, incredible. And I think he deserved the defensive player of the game, specifically for picking off Sawyer Robertson, which wasn't actually the dagger, but it kind of felt like the dagger in the moment.
Totally, yeah. That was a absolutely massive play by one Treydan Stukes there. And Stukes has been unreal all season since he's come back from injury. He's made game-saving plays. It feels like week after week. Think about that. Was it against Kansas, right, where he had that one where he tracked, 45 yards down the field that Jalen Daniels put in a bucket, and he made a insane diving PBU on that play. Treydan Stukes has been great this season. I think he's an NFL football player. Dalton Johnson deserves his plaudits as well. As you said, leading tackler, basically the leading tackler pretty much all season long. Yeah, man, these seniors, they deserve this today. 2 guys that stuck it out through everything, including the Kevin Sumlin years, which was so the Kevin Sumlin years were so tough that I didn't stick it out. I worked for the team and I quit because I said I can't do this anymore. I care more than the damn coaches. And so I quit. And you know who didn't? Treydan Stukes, Dalton Johnson. And I encourage you guys to go watch read Justin Spears' article on those 2 seniors and kind of what they poured into Arizona. But yeah, 2 incredible players, 2 incredible Wildcats and legends forever, man. I know that like someone like me, that matters to me. And loyalty is appreciated these days in college athletics with how things have kind of spiraled out of control. That's why we love T-Mac. That's why we love Noah so much. And Dalton Johnson and Treydan Stukes, while they don't play the flashy positions that Noah Fifita and T-Mac do, I think that they deserve all the same respect.
And we're going to wrap up this awards tracker really quickly as well so we can get into some, breakdown of by the numbers, more talk of this defense. I want to talk about that comment from Max in the chat. We have super chats to get to. Cohen's also sending in post-game presser clips. We got a ton on the AZ Wildcats post-game pod to talk about. So let's get transfer of the game and breakout player of the game. They're the same person, and he's also the offensive player of the game. It's Chris Hudson. Have a day, son. What an absolute performance from him. But Damon, we are going to talk about everything that I've teased during that awards tracker and more on the other side of this break here on the AZ Wildcats post-game pod. We're 8-3, so don't go anywhere and leave a like. And if you want to make it to the Territorial Cup to watch Arizona bring that puppy home, there's only one service to use, and that's Game Time. Now, I'm going to use a bit of a testimonial here is what they call it in the biz, because me and our ad guy, Max Simpson, we're a bit of wrestling fans, some pro wrestling nerds, if you will. And we all know that Mullet Arena is housed of the ASU Sun Devils. Gross. However, WWE did take a trip to Mullet, and it was pretty special, and the tickets were pretty expensive. So what did me and Max do? We said, you know what, let's use Game Time, use their service, use code PHNX for $20 off of your first purchase. We were not able to use the code. We consistently use Game Time over here, but use their in-app features such as customize your spot. But I also love the zone deals where you save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seat. We all know that feeling where I just want to sit on this part of the court. I want to sit right there at half court, but I don't really care what seat. Game Time will pick the most optimal seat for you so you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use promo code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem promo code PHNX for $20 off. Tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. And they are our presenting sponsor today, so I would be remiss to not tell you about our friends over at Branded Bills. Now, Branded Bills is not only the most stylish headwear in the game, but if you have a brand or a company or some sort of personal project that you are pursuing, it is the best way to elevate your brand. If you're looking for some gear to make your brand stand apart from the rest, Branded Bills is the best way to do that. We have our Phoenix hats. We have our Arizona Wildcats hat. They got a Wilbur hat. They got all types of stuff where Damon is at that U of A campus store in the bookstore. So head to brandedbills.com and use promo code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order of the most stylish headwear in the game. And thank you to Branded Bills for presenting this here little podcast that me and Damon like to do every so often. Damon, you've been moved. It says you have muted yourself, Damon Dog. If I'm reading lips, it says guest has muted themselves on my end. So potentially, I don't know what's going on with that on your end. I cannot hear you, but I shall filibuster until I can hear you. And when I stop filibustering, that will be your sign to jump in and start talking again. Because it still says the guest has muted himself. But Damon, I will say this. This team is special. This team is special. Someone else said it in the chat earlier that the wins feel special, and they don't know if it's because of the lack of success from year to year or whatnot. But this win felt like a statement win. It felt like we talked about with this defense that they are serious. And the leader of that defense, I believe he's serious about staying at the University of Arizona.
That's us.
Hello, Damon. Yeah, you are so back. You've never been more back. But I do want to talk about this comment from Max, who is saying that people in Mike Luke's chat, shout out to Mike Luke, they were saying that we might lose Danny Gonzalez, and Max would like to remind us that Danny was fired from New Mexico 2 years after a 4-8 season as head coach. He'll be here for a few more years. Do you think that is the case? Do you think that we are in danger of losing Danny Gonzalez?
No, I do not. And I think I expressed this on our show the other day when someone asked about, like, the only downside of this run and how good you're playing is, does this mean that these great coordinator hires that you've made now all of a sudden are going to be looking for the first opportunity at a bigger program out the door? I don't think Seth Doege is going to leave. But I think if anyone was going to leave, it would be Seth Doege, personally. He's like 35 years old, 34 years old. He's rising. He won a conference championship at Marshall last year. He turned around one of the worst and most unwatchable offenses in the country this season. I think Seth Doege is a little bit more desirable, if you will. And Danny Gonzalez, not to say that he's not, I just think that he's found his home. You listen to the way he talked to us at Spring Day, Kevin, where he's showing us all of the front door cam, ring cam, desert Sonoran wildlife that he sees out in front of his house. You hear the way he talks about the Tucson community. You see him wearing that 520 hoodie all the damn time. And I think that it matters, this community, to Danny Gonzalez. I really do. This is a guy who's from Albuquerque. Albuquerque's his home. And Tucson is a lot like Albuquerque. It's similar size. It's got a similar vibe to it in a sense. I think that this is a place that Danny Gonzalez is comfortable. He's great friends with Brent Brennan. He believes in Brent Brennan clearly. I find it hard to believe that Danny Gonzalez would be out the door this year. I think if anyone was to leave, it would be Seth Dagey, and I still find that very unlikely as well.
And I'll say this to Lost Highway's comment, who says, I'm assuming you're saying Gonzalez might want to preserve his stock with Stukes and Dalton gone, and I'll probably add parenthetically Smith as well. Genesis Smith is probably out the door as well to the NFL. And I don't know if that would be – I feel like if there's any coordinator right now in the Big 12 that could restock with a whole new set of guys and find – I'm not going to say similar levels of success to having like one of the best defenses in the country – but to still have like an effective, high-quality defense, it's Danny Gonzalez. I think look at the personnel changes from last year to this year. I know we have a ton of, some of our best players on the defensive end are returning players, but I also think that you can, with the era of the transfer portal, retool and reimagine your defense in a way that you could not in years past. And I'll add this. If you're a player on a team that's struggling somewhere else, on a defense that you feel like you're not getting enough attention, how could you not want to be a part of this Danny Gonzalez defense? How could you not feel like he could maximize what you have to offer on a football field? You have guys from pretty much mid-major schools coming up and transferring into Arizona for some of these players and really performing, really impacting winning. So I think Danny Gonzalez will stay, and I think Seth Dagey will also stay. I agree with your assessment that if there was one to go, it probably is Dagey, mostly because of his age. And mostly because of the, him just kind of being a sexier pick, you know what I mean, for an up-and-coming coordinator kind of a situation. But I think both Dagey and Gonzalez truly want to finish out what they've started with Brent Brennan. And I don't know exactly what that means for them, whether that means like a Big 12 title, whether that means a couple bowl games, whether that just means a couple of sustained years of success. The way they talk about Brent Brennan is they're not just going to leave him for a check. And they could. This is college coaching. They could definitely do that. They could be, selling us a bill of goods, and then the next offer they get, they could be gone. I'm not a fool, right? But I think if we are to believe their words and what they're trying to tell us, they want to stick around and help Brent Brennan find sustained success here in Arizona. So I think, it's a possibility. I mean, he's coaching his ass off right now. Danny Gonzalez is, but I think he stays at Arizona next year, maybe for a couple years as well.
They're both such, pointed talkers. They're both so
direct and transparent,
to the point,
almost.
And direct and transparent when they talk to media, both Dagey and Gonzalez. And when you hear them talk about Brent Brennan, they almost get emotional, Kevin. Like every time. You hear Seth Dagey, the way he cares about my wife, the way he cares about my daughter, the way he cares about my family and wants us to be successful and wants to help push my career forward. This is not I don't feel like this is a conventional, coordinator on the rise who's looking for his next big opportunity. I feel like this is legitimately a connected program right now. And I feel like you're seeing that on the field because let's face it, the Big 12, this team is not uber talented. This team is not just has more talent than all the Big 12 teams that it's playing against, The Big 12 is a conference where it feels like there's maybe one team at the top. This year it's Texas Tech. They have way more money than everybody else. And then all the other teams feel fairly similar in terms of talent. And you just have to win games on the margins here or there. This game for Arizona today was a 6.5-point spread. It's been the biggest spread since Oklahoma State. It's the biggest spread since, we played a terrible team, even against Colorado. So I personally feel like that, it's going to take a lot for both of these guys to go out the door, especially Danny Gonzalez, who I think is a little bit more established, older in his career, was successful at ASU. That was his most successful stop that he's had as a coordinator, was at Arizona State. Now he's back in the state of Arizona and he's coaching at U of A, and he's even improving upon that success. He's having his best year ever. And so, I don't know who's coming at Danny Gonzalez and saying, I want you to be my head coach because it didn't go great at New Mexico. But if you come and say you want Danny Gonzalez to be your defensive coordinator, what's to say he doesn't want to stay on the West Coast because he's a West Coast guy and this is where his family is comfortable? As Lost Highway says, it's a discussion that is ultimately what are we talking about? We are not inside the headspace of these guys. And, it could potentially be a situation where, they are looking for a better opportunity. It's money that you can't pass up. But personally, if I had to guess, I'd say Gonzalez stays for sure. Daggy stays like 97%, 95%.
And Damon, I do want to get to your doghouse today as well, because
Hit it.
for those that are new, Damon does this thing where someone's got to get in trouble, and he's got to put somebody in the doghouse. And I actually left Damon a gift in his doghouse today because he was out, he was away. He was not at his dog home. He was actually in his dog hometown, but he was not at his dog house. So I went ahead and left him a gift. And I said, Damon, today's doghouse, they're cell towers. We got cell towers in the doghouse. I went through a lot of work to fit that entire cell tower in your doghouse. So you're welcome for that gift.
Here's what I will say in fairness to people of Tucson who do not show up to these Arizona football games. How the hell is my phone not being able to be used for 2.5 hours of this game? This is a city of 1 million people, Kevin. 1 million people. In the cell tower on the University of Arizona campus is unable to hold the connectivity for, the 35,000 people that were here in the crowd. It's not even a full house. What the hell is going on?
Pay attention to the game, youngin', is probably what some people are thinking.
I mean, I got to get some tweets out from our beat account. I'm trying to help Kevin so it's not just the Kevin show over in Phoenix and Damon's just getting drunk at the tailgates and having a good time. Like, I'm trying to be a good teammate, good coworker here. And you know who's not letting me? Damn Verizon Wireless. No free ads.
No, definitely not a free ad there because it was not helpful today. They say they had the best connection. I think I would beg to differ. But, Damon, moving on from your doghouse, shall we do our by the numbers for today?
Absolutely. Let's hit that by the numbers presented by our friends over at Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 ranked credit union, presented by Forbes, of course. Great stats here. I mean, total yardage, extremely similar. It looked like, Baylor was maybe going to have a chance at winning this thing when they were winning the turnover margin. And then Arizona got all those flurry of turnovers late and really put this one to bed, put that nail in the coffin. Really extremely similar statistics outside of those turnovers there. Kind of the, definitely you could say the difference in the game.
Yeah, no, you definitely could. And when we're talking about the turnover battle before this game, and I tweeted it about halfway through, and I did delete it because it just felt like the wrong vibe. I didn't want to be that guy. But it was after the Noah Fifita interception where they put a stat on the broadcast, and it said Baylor coming into this game was 4-1 on the year when they forced a turnover, and 1-4 on the year when they did not force a turnover against their opponent. And I was pretty scared in that moment as an Arizona Wildcat fan because the game was not yet in full control for Arizona, and it felt like at any moment, if Baylor decided to, really get their stuff together and go on a run, that they could do just that. And I did not want that to be the case. But for Arizona to buck that trend, buck that statistical trend, and say, you know what, we're just going to force you into more turnovers. We're going to win this turnover battle 3-1 today is really impressive. And it just underscores even further what you and I are talking about, Damon, when we said, hey, this Danny Gonzalez defense is pretty damn solid. And we had people earlier this year telling us, well, you guys haven't played anybody but Weber State and Hawaii and, K-State, they suck. And look what happened when you guys
haven't played
Iowa
real
State.
Teams like NAU and Texas State.
1,000%. And I think, when we're trying to tell those people that, yeah, no, we agree with you actually. We're not saying that we have this incredible high strength of schedule. What we're trying to tell you is that what we've seen is that the eye test says this defense is a top defense in the country until proven otherwise. And they have yet to really be proven otherwise. This defense continues to go out there and execute. They continue to go out there and win this team football games. And today was an example of that because coming into this game, if Baylor was able to turn you over, they would take advantage of that on the offensive end, and you would be playing from behind. That was not the case today for Arizona.
As Sean says here in the chat, is this part of the easy schedule that Arizona has? Because healthy Samuel Levitt only won by a last-second game-winning field goal against these guys. And I'm pretty sure, Kevin, is that get my eyes checked for a second. Is that, say, 41-17? Is that a three-possession football game? Interesting how that works. Yeah, I mean, listen, not everybody can make superstar plays against Texas State. Not everybody can do that. But Arizona just continues to take care of business against the teams that are on their schedule. Not the vaunted Texas State Wildcats, who are, of course, have a losing record in the Sun Belt Conference. That's a real team. But yeah, I mean, listen, I couldn't be more excited for next week. You could go ahead and clip this right now. I was being made fun of last week on the PHNX Sun Devils podcast because I told Eric Ruby, depending on how this Arizona game goes, I think we're going to be the favorites in Tempe versus ASU next week on a Vegas betting line. I just saw exactly what I needed to see right now. This team is going to be favored next week. I'm not saying it's going to be by 1,000,000 points. I think it's going to be by like 1.5, 2.5, 3.5. Like, it's going to be a really, really tight spread. But I think you're kidding yourself if you think Arizona is not a better football team than Arizona State as currently constructed. And, we call those people delusional, Kevin. So that's all good.
Delusional devs. And we do have someone who is very much sane, very much right of mind. And they sent a super chat. And that is one AZ Cats G, who says, no apology for the cookie comments necessary. I believe that was the turning point for Brent Brennan. He's different now at the time he's different now than he was at the time. He needed the constructive criticism. And this is kind of something that, like, I don't know how else to phrase it, but it's been like a shower thought for me recently of like when you're just trying to like intrusive thoughts and you're just kind of like, oh, I wonder, is that a possibility? Oh, that's an idea I've had. I've been thinking, does Brent Brennan really see what people are saying about him and his temperament? And do you think that at all, because I cannot believe that he would let that really change the way he coaches or change the way that he behaves. I choose to believe that he is just showing more of himself, his true coaching self, now that he's getting more comfortable and he's actually winning some games. But part of me does feel like he's gotten so much criticism for the way he communicates that maybe he said, you know what, F it. Damn it, I'm changing this way. I'm changing the way I am. I'm gonna add some edge. But it feels like that's I don't know. Am I crazy for even thinking about that?
No, I don't think so. I mean, listen, I think there was one moment today that was kind of like, is Brent Brennan listening to the fans when he brought out that punt unit on that 4th and inches? And then Arizona called a timeout, and then they ran the play, and then they got the first down. And it was like, did he just listen to the entire crowd boo him for not going for that and then decide to change his mind? And I'm not going to accuse him of that because that seems kind of crazy for a guy making, $4 million or whatever Brent Brennan's making.
He's looking around like, decisions. Survey says.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we're going for it.
What does Damon Dog think? Does Damon Dog think we should go for this? Cool. But I definitely think that, this is like he has changed who he is. You saw the post-game presser. I don't know if you catched it, Kevin, or if you were too busy, getting to the grind and making this fine podcast go. But he's interviewing with the sideline reporter on field after the game, and he turns around and he goes, ah! He literally just starts screaming.
He lost and he goes, bear down! Bear down!
Up. He's fired the F up, and I love it. I love it. Like, some people might be like, oh, it's cringe. Oh, it's corny. But would you rather that he's just doing the clapping thing with the lay on the sideline like last year where everybody wants him fired yesterday? Or would you rather that he's firing his team up because his players, they respect him. They, listen to what he says and believe that he's genuine. And it doesn't really matter ultimately what the Joe Schmoes like me and Kevin and everybody in this chat think when it comes to that because his team is locked in on what he's saying. So, yeah, I mean, Brent Brennan, like from a personality standpoint, what a turnaround. Kevin, is this time for our Brent Brennan temperature check?
Yeah, let's do our Brent Brennan temperature check. But I do want to give a shout out to one Cohen Kinney because he does have some presser audio clips for us here. And it's raining behind you there, really pretty coming down there. But
oh yeah, it's coming down in the andals of the stadium here.
Cohen got us a clip of Brent Brennan talking about how last year affected him and the program as a whole, and I think that might be. I hope it's as good as I'm intending it to be of a transition into our temperature check. So here is Coach Brennan.
I really think the nature of college football right now is that's just part of it. That's just part of it. You know what I mean? And I think the trick or what you're trying to do, because like I'm a grown up, right? You know what I mean? So like, I'm not going to get caught up in things I don't control. but it's hard for your players. Like you and I have talked about that before. It's hard for them when someone can hit them on Twitter. Like everyone has access to our players now. You know, so if you're 18-year-old freshman, you know what I mean? Or you just missed a kick, right? And then you go get on your phone after a win and 5,000 people are on your head telling you a bunch of nasty stuff. You know what I mean? So I just think you had two questions there. Number one, did last year affect me? Of course it did. It affected all of us. But I also think it motivated us to make the decisions and the moves we had to make to give us a chance to build this team. And that's what I'm excited about. I'm so proud of this team. The players, the coaches, our strength staff, our recruiting staff, everybody that touches this program. I mean, it speaks to the alignment that we have at Arizona right now. And that is special. That is really special. And I promise you that does not happen everywhere. But it's happening here right now.
I love that clip from Brent Brennan. I also love that our chat is saying that Brennan to Florida would be crazy because of the literal clapping, the literal Gator claps that he would be doing. Let's go! He'd be doing that unintentionally, but then it'd become intentionally. But I love that. I love that clip a lot from Brent Brennan. As we get into our temperature check, Damon, where are you at with our fearless leader, one Brent Brennan?
I think this is what it took to get an 8 out of 10 out of me, Kevin. I think this is it. And, you know, things could change, obviously, next week if you look unprepared and you get outclassed by, you know, last year's Big 12 Coach of the Year and Kenny Dillingham. But I don't expect that. I really don't expect that at this point. I think Brent Brennan has proven that he is every bit a, you know, Power 4 head coach and belongs at this level this season. And, yeah, I mean, listen, if he has the right guys in place, if he has the right quarterback under center, I think that Brent Brennan can win football games at Arizona. 8 out of 10.
I'm in agreement. I might be an 8.5, Damon. I'm really, really, really happy with what Brent Brennan has been able to accomplish. This second half shutout got me to an 8.5. It really was really incredible stuff from Brent Brennan and company this weekend, Damon. And I think this is what I wanted to get at with I don't think that anyone's actually going to criticize Brent Brennan for being so passionate in the postgame with the sideline reporter. But what I do think is that it's important for it to have a coach that cares when you're a program like Arizona, right? This isn't Alabama. This isn't like LSU. This isn't, I don't know, like your historic football programs, right? If you are going to succeed at Arizona, it's because you want to win at Arizona. And that's just the case of it. And I think having a guy like Brent Brennan who cares so deeply about the wins and the losses for this football program, I think is huge. And last season, albeit in a debut season, not ideal at all. In fact, nightmare results for Brent Brennan and company. However, it does feel like having a guy that cares that much when it's going good, it kind of means everything, to be honest with you. I think I lost your audio again there, Damon, as well, potentially. It says you have muted yourself again. But I do want to bring in our friend, one Cohen Kinney, live from Casino del Sol with Damon Dog. We got a double Del Sol guest spot today. Very, very pumped about that. Cohen, how are we doing today?
We're fired up. Just another impressive performance from Arizona football today. Just doing everything that you want to see from this program, and it's a chart that just keeps going up. It's an uphill climb for Brent Brennan and the staff, and I'm just so excited to see where it's at in the state of it right now.
Now, I understand that you do have some clips from this presser of one Brent Brennan of talking about some of his players. We already went over his, kind of reflection on how the losses affected the program and him as a coach. But where do you want to throw it in terms of clips about Brent Brennan talking about his personnel?
I feel like, it's senior day, so let's start. Well, all the clips are about some of his seniors, but I feel like it's none better to start with Dalton Johnson.
Dalton's one of those guys that chose to stay, and he had lots of people trying to talk him into leaving, and I think that's really, really special. He's an awesome Wildcat. He talks about coming here because he was signed by or recruited by, I think, Coach Sumlin's staff. So he went through that transition, and then goes through the transition with me. And obviously last year wasn't fun, I promise you, sure as hell wasn't fun for me, you know what I mean? But not him either. And so but his choice, his belief in Coach Arce, his belief in Coach Gonzalez, his belief in the U of A he's one of those awesome, awesome guys that chose to stay. And then here we are in Casino del Sol Stadium on senior day, and he has 18 tackles. Get out of here. That's how it should end, isn't it? I mean, that's storybook.
I mean, that is storybook. I talked about that with Treydan Stukes as well, like him getting that game sealing practically interception when he did. It really felt like it really felt as though, yeah, it really felt like that is how it should end for these seniors, right? At home, and a chance to really get an 8th win on a season where nobody thought you'd get 8 wins. Even the most optimistic fans thought maybe they get 8 wins. So, yeah, just how impressive were the seniors and Dalton Johnson today in your eyes, Cohen?
I just feel like it was the senior day showcase. They all kind of felt their call today, with it being their day of celebrating them and sticking out for this program. You know, you have a couple of 1-year seniors on the team, but you have the guys like Dalton, you have Treydan, who really stuck it out through thick and thin, had some success, had some pretty tough years here in Tucson as well. So just seeing them kind of be able to just flourish on this stage, like not a dry eye in the stadium, to be honest. Like it's so awesome to see. There's a couple of games left on the season, so they still have some more time to further their Wildcat resume. But to see that in the final home game, which is in and of itself very meaningful, to see them just have the plays that they did, it's awesome. Dalton Johnson's going to lead this team in tackles probably in back-to-back years as a safety. Let that sink in. That's awesome to see. But it's really cool.
It is really cool, and we do have one more ad break to get to here on the AZ Wildcats podcast, and then we have a couple more clips with Cohen and Damon. So stick around, leave a like, and don't go anywhere. Unless you're going to our friends over at the Husband and Wife Law Team, and that is the Husband and Wife Law Team. And I hope, honestly, that you're not in an accident or a serious injury, but if you know someone who is, make sure to give them this number, 602-783-8841. That's 602-783-8841, the number of the Husband and Wife Law Team, Mark and Alexis Breyer. They literally bring hundreds of years of experience combined in trial law, and I think that is incredible on its own right. You want a lawyer team that is experienced and cares about your case individually. And of course, nobody can guarantee the outcome of any one legal case. However, there are certainly promises that the Husband and Wife Law Team can make to you. All their clients, when it comes to your relationship with the Husband and Wife Law Team, you can expect this. You can cancel their fee agreement at any time for any reason. You will receive at least as much in your pocket as they receive for their fee, even if they have to reduce their attorney's fee to do just that. You may speak with one of their lawyers as often as you choose about anything that you want to discuss, and you have the right to trust that they, as lawyers, will tell you both the strengths and weaknesses of your claim, so you're working with a full deck of cards, so to speak. And that sounds good to me if it sounds good to you. And you, if you have had a serious injury, call the Husband and Wife Law Team first at 602-783-8841, or visit their website at the link in our show notes and tell them PHNX sent you. And if you need gas or snacks or waters or beers or lottery tickets or trail mix or hot food, Circle K is your go-to. It's America's thirst stop. It's Damon's thirst stop. It's my thirst stop. It's my favorite gas station on planet Earth. That is why I love Circle K. Recently, they had a fuel day where you could go get 40 cents off per gallon. 40 cents off a gallon. Damn near $50 on every single gallon. And your boy was on E that day. So I pretty much filled up half my tank. You know what I mean? That's excuse me. That's how much I paid, even though I filled up my whole tank of gas. I love Circle K. I love being a member in the Inner Circle, and it is so easy to join. All you got to do is punch in your phone number, email, boom, you're a part of the Inner Circle Rewards program. You're saving 25 cents off a gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents off on every fill-up after that until you graduate. Put your tassel from one side of the K to the other side of the K, and then you get 5 cents off per gallon on every fill-up. So join that Inner Circle for free today by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions do apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details.
Shout out the Husband and Wife Law Team. Shout out Circle K. And shout out everybody here in this chat. I love this comment from Max. Kansas State going belt to ass right now on Utah. 31-21 at halftime. Who remembers when Anthony Totri called Kansas State the worst team in the Big 12 just because they lost to Arizona? I do. I remember. But that's been all season long. It's been all season long. And now we get to prove them wrong next week But Cohen, I assume you have a few more clips before we get into maybe a quick little territorial cup preview.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get to the one with Treydan Stukes next, if possible, just because, we talked about his big play that he had today and just capping off just another excellent season as a Wildcat.
Treydan Stukes is literally one of the best football players I've ever been on the field with. His awareness, his toughness, just his technical excellence, his smarts. And it was so awesome because it's like, he talked to the team last night. He's in his 6th year. He went through the ACL. He talked about just that long road back for him, what that was and how hard that was. And just what a special night for him with the interception and he, obviously, and he had a bunch of tackles. He's just such an impactful player, such a great leader for us.
I love watching Treydan Stukes play football, and I love that Brent Brennan claims that he is one of the most talented players he's ever shared a football field with. And I think that is high praise from a guy like Brent Brennan, who I think has been around some pretty talented football players in his day. Cohen, just how impact of a player was Treydan Stukes today, and how important was he to this team, not only today, but this year and in years past?
Yeah, absolutely. He joined Arizona as a player who was highly unrecruited. I think he was a walk-on, to be honest. And just to see him step his game up as a player through all these different regimes as well. He really kind of came onto the scene with Jed Fish and them, kind of getting the most out of him, using him in different positions on the defensive backfield that were suitable for him. And he really got to use his size, which is a really big piece of his game as well. And just to see him kind of, because last year was tough for the whole team, but more especially for Stukes as well, because he had the torn ACL. So he had to rehab and, get right for his last season, his 6th year, if he had, NFL aspirations or just, wanting to play your last college football season. So to see him kind of the definition of adversity, to be honest, just to see him stick it out, go through a tough injury, but be one of Arizona's premier playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. It's really cool to see from a player who, has been here for 6 years.
No doubt about it. I want to see Treydan Stukes get his plaudits on the all Big 12 team. I really do. I think that all 3 of these safeties deserve it. Dalton Johnson, Genesis Smith, and Treydan Stukes are all unbelievable football players. I don't know if anybody else on this defense should be on either the first or second team. They've all played their role. They've all had really good seasons, don't get me wrong. I just don't know if they've been necessarily standouts per se. But I think that these 3 safeties in particular, I guess Treydan Stukes plays the, kind of the nickel corner role more so. But those 3 players, those 3 DBs should definitely, in my opinion, be all first and second team.
Yeah, fully agreed. This is a defense that, in my opinion, lacks a lot of the star power, which is a credit to Danny G and just how he's able to get the most out of everybody. But if you look at the top premier players on this team, it's definitely, the 3 players you mentioned. So I think it'd be a disservice to at least not have one of them on the All Big 12 list, let alone maybe 2. So I fully agree.
And Cohen, we also had a stud wide receiver ball out today, one Chris Hudson, and I believe we have a clip of Brent Brennan talking about Chris Hudson, and here is that clip from our guy Cohen.
Chris is a player that we were hoping would have this kind of impact every week, all year. I think he's finally healthy, and I think he's getting really comfortable, and his chemistry with Noah is developing, in game, and so you're seeing that ball start to find him more often. I'll tell you, I don't want him to take his helmet off when he scores a touchdown. I like the touchdown, not the helmet off. You know what I mean? But he's an awesome young man, and I think I think Coach Wade and I think our program has been a good thing for him, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do with our last 2 games.
Did we really care about him taking the helmet off? It felt like he was well off the field by the time that he did that. And I don't know what the rules are. If there's a timer that goes once you score and you have 10 seconds to keep your helmet on and then you can take it off, or if you have to literally step foot next to your head coach and then take your helmet off, or what the deal with that is. But it felt like he scored, took 8 or 10 steps, and then he's physically on the sideline. He could not be any further on the sideline, and he takes his helmet off. So at what point are you really on the sideline?
That was the only one that I was like, that's pretty cut and dry, unsportsmanlike conduct. I didn't really understand the other 2, to be frank with you guys. I especially the second one didn't look like anything other than players celebrating with their teammates. I mean, the refs today, and credit to Arizona for not letting it get to them and control the game. But you talk about forward progress on that fumble recovery in the first quarter, cost you 7 points. You talk about Sawyer Robertson not getting forward progress called on him to score a touchdown just a few plays later. And then, you talk about the Dalton Johnson pass interference early on. Like, there were some bad calls going against Arizona early in this one. And like I said, it was close, and the Cats weathered the storm and ultimately showed that they were the far better football team.
Yeah, I definitely think some of those were a little fluky, to agree with both of you. I think just to see that it didn't affect the team at all, though, was really the best thing for me personally to see them, because personal fouls are, or unsportsmanlike conducts those are costly penalties, being 15 yards, but to see them happen after scores, which, are applied to the kickoff after. You have Ian Wagner, who's been booting them to the end zone all year. I think they didn't really affect you as much, but once again, if we were sitting here and these penalties did affect Arizona and kind of derailed them, allowing Baylor to hang in this one, I think we would be having a different conversation. But ultimately, just how they responded is really good to see.
100%, and we do want to talk about this ASU game. We got to talk about this ASU game, and I know better. I'm gonna let Damon run this show. The ball is being passed to one Damon Fairall. Where do you want to start here?
ISO, clear the hell out. I want to start with this bad boy right here. I need her. I need us again in my life. I purposefully set up in front of the Territorial Cup for a reason, because this means legitimately everything. It means everything. And I was telling Cohen after we were walking off the field, 2014 had higher stakes for the football program, but not for the people that are on this show. I don't even want to begin to imagine what my mentions are going to look like next Friday if, unfortunately, things don't go our way. I need this win like I need oxygen to breathe, and I think we get it. I really, really do. And people could call me biased all they want. I've had ASU above Arizona in my power rankings all damn season. It literally was the only time I didn't was after they lost to Mississippi State looking pathetic, and I had to move them down. And when they, last week when Arizona, I thought, proved that they were the better football team. ASU scraping by West Virginia, who sucks, and U of A going on the road to Cincinnati and dog walking them. Like, I don't think it's close how these two teams are playing in their current seasons right now. I think we have one team that we're seeing play worse football, and it's understandable. They don't have their starting quarterback. But then you have another team that is playing better and better football week by week. I love our chances in this one. I think we definitely could lose. There's no question about it. They're a really good football team. They have a great defense in particular, good run game. But I just think that this team has more momentum right now, and I like Arizona's chances.
Cohen, where are you at with this Territorial Cup? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I think, honestly, to be honest, Damon took it away and said everything I was going to. I feel like you look at the state of both of these teams. ASU, if you're looking at their preseason expectations, they're meeting them, or probably a little bit below them. If I'm being honest, most people thought they would be leading the Big 12 with Sam Leavitt, and obviously him being out for the season is that's a blow to the team. But I think you look at the state of both programs. ASU is kind of floating around where they were expected. U of A is completely overachieving their expectations right now. You look at both of the sides of the ball. If you were to match them up, I like Arizona's defense against ASU's offense. They're missing a lot of pieces. I think Arizona's in a much healthier state compared to ASU right now. I think that's definitely an advantage. Obviously not one you want, but you'll take it. And I think you can cause problems for Jeff Sims. I mean, he's getting Jordan Tyson back. That's going to be a tough cover. But I trust the DBs that we have in Arizona. So honestly, I think the defense versus the offense is the matchup, because Noah Fifita and crew are going to scrape by. They're going to figure it out. But it's this defense versus the premier playmakers on ASU's offense.
Yeah, I think that this game, you got to have it. As Damon said, the pride is on the line with this year's Territorial Cup. We do have a super chat rolling in from none other than Gerbush. We have two from Gerbush. One that says, let's take over Mountain America. And then two that says, Casino del Sol North, BTFD. I love it. Thank you for your two super chats. Very, very generous stuff. Thank you for supporting the pod.
I am never stacking a box more than I've ever stacked a box in my entire life against ASU on Friday. Jeff Sims beat us by throwing the football, my guy, against this passing defense, against these defensive backs one-on-one, because I don't think you can do it. Rocco Becht was kind of tasked with something similar against Iowa State versus Arizona earlier this year, and it led to an Arizona blowout. But Rocco Becht is a quarterback that has proven time and time again that he can win at a high level. Jeff Sims has proven that he turns the ball over unlike any quarterback we've ever seen in modern college football. So stack the box, stop the run, don't let him go crazy on you on the ground, and I think you win this football game, no doubt. Like, I don't even care about Jordan Tyson one-on-one. If he gets a touchdown because he beats somebody on a one-on-one situation, it is what it is. You tip your cap to him, but I don't think Jeff Sims can consistently throw the football to beat this defense.
And we're going to keep breaking that game down all week long leading into kickoff, so I'm not going to let Damon get off all his takes yet today.
And another thing about Arizona State versus
thing about you, Damon, is we have some family history going on in the chat. I don't know if you can read it in live time, but bear with me. I got to walk you guys through this one. At Loot is my daddy says, my friend's parents got a divorce because his dad made his mom go to the Sun Bowl with him, the John Hancock Bowl, back in 1993. And you're thinking, ain't no way.
Man.
Loot, what? And yeah, I guess it was a brutal road trip from Tucson to El Paso, and that was the beginning of the end. But it wasn't all bad for participants on that road trip because your mother, Jane, says, my first trip with Damon's dad was to that game. Unbelievable scenes. And the more you know. That's all I had to say about that. Now people in the chat are going back and forth about the drive to El Paso.
I really well and truly am, like, born into it. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's the same thing with the Diamondbacks. It's those two in particular. Like, I know those are my two beats I cover at PHNX Sports, but that is divine intervention. Like, I have been at these games my entire life. My parents have cared forever. And then D-backs, like I was at game one of the 2001 World Series I was at the inaugural playoff game in 1999, like 2 months after I was born. Like, this means everything. This is why I probably hate the Dodgers and ASU as much as I do.
As Max says, as one love ends, one begins. That's a wonderful way. That's a wonderful way to wrap up this here podcast. Do we have any more about this game against Baylor? Any more about Arizona State? Any more about Anthony Totri? What do we got?
Anything more about Anthony? I mean, I could go on about Anthony Totri all night long, but we just need this win. We need this win so bad. Does anybody have a Colorado score update, or has that game started yet?
I can get you one while we talk about this super chat from at Loot is my daddy, who says, bear down, red line, beat ass you, Tempe normal. But only game that matters every year is Territorial Cup. You guys have been great all year. Thank you for your support of the pod with that super chat, Loot, as well. And you wanted a Colorado score update. I can get you that right now, Damon. I guess I can't. I assumed it was one of those situations where I Google Colorado score and it comes right up, and it definitely did not. But yeah,
hasn't started yet.
Has not started yet. It starts in another 2 hours, I believe. So I was set up for failure in a way there. But
all right, well, we get to see what our next opponent looks like against a team that we just whooped up on. And listen, ASU seems like they're allergic to winning games by multiple scores. If this happens again where they're in a dogfight with Colorado, like, I'm confident as hell. I really, really am. So we'll find out here in a couple hours. We're going to preview Arizona versus ASU all week long on this fine channel. I believe someone asked up here in the chat if we were going to be doing a watch along on Friday. I don't think so. We're going to be at the game, at least for the first half, and then Kevin and I are going to, at halftime, mosey on back to PHNX HQ3 and do the show for you guys. So no watch along. We will be doing a pregame show and a postgame show, absolutely, though, no doubt about it. And it does mean everything. I do want to say, though, before we get out of here, Kevin, because And he might be there next week covering because it is semi-local. But shout out to Cohen, last home game of the season. My guy crushed it all year long. All he does is ask for me and Kevin to give him more and more and more stuff to do constantly. We genuinely could not run this show without Cohen Kinney. So everybody, if you're going to do one thing tonight, please follow Cohen. That's at Cohen Kinney. That's CoeinKinney. Please follow Cohen and all of his great work that he's doing consistently covering not only just this football program, but this athletic department in general.
And before we do get out of here, and I do want to get Cohen involved with this one, we did forget our Love the Play presented by our friends over at Arizona Lottery. And now we do have some fun options for this one today. So shout out to Arizona Lottery. Make sure to stop by any of their kiosks. They do have those at Circle K's. So if you're stopping by a Circle K, go pick up some scratch-offs. Go play the lotto. Have some fun. Gamble responsibly, of course. But love the play. Damon, do you want to kick it off?
Man, is that tough. Because I just love this damn team so much. How can I pick a favorite when I love everyone so equally? But I guess I'll go with the Chris Hunter catch, because that was just, it felt like it was game over from that exact moment. And when that ball was thrown up into the air, I thought to myself, there's no chance he's coming down with that, because it was heavily contested. It wasn't the best ball by Noah Fifita, but he gave him a chance, and Chris Hunter just was not going to be denied. So I like that one. Ice the game. Shout out Chris Hunter.
I think I'm going to go with the Ishmael Mahdi. There's so many different options. There really is, because there's some good ones from guys that I love, like Genesis Smith, punching the ball out. And when is he going to get one, by the way? But anyway, give me the Ishmael Mahdi, break-off touchdown after the turnover at the end of the game, where I tweeted break out the sword from our account, and then the next moment they scored on offense because the hits just kept coming. The highlights just kept coming for the Arizona Wildcats today. So I think that Ishmael Mahdi run to really ice it, where he ran straight to the corner and celebrated with the fans, it felt like a big moment. It felt like, okay, this team is really breaking through, getting over the hump, and they're just cutting through butter now with this Baylor defense. Cohen, what's your love to play the game with Arizona Lottery?
This might be kind of a lame take, but I'm actually going to agree with Roberto in the chat with the Jabari Man pick six. I feel like the game was in fact over at that point, but just to see them keep piling it on and the plays keep coming their way, it was just electric. The whole press box was just mind blown. I couldn't tweet fast enough because the plays just kept happening and kept being made. So it was incredibly difficult, but I feel like just that encapsulated just the performance, and then it really showed that Arizona is they're not just winning this game, they're blowing Baylor out. So it was awesome to see.
No doubt about that, Cohen. And I think that is, I'll expand upon that a little bit. Dave Aranda, and this easily could have been my Damon's Dawghouse. Dave Aranda calling timeouts down 24 with 3 minutes left, 2 minutes left in this game, making everybody in this stadium wait longer as the rain starts to come down. I don't know what the hell that was, but shout out to Arizona for when Baylor is clearly still trying to play football for no reason to say, oh, you guys want to play football?
You didn't have enough? You didn't have enough of playing football?
Oh, you want more? Oh, you want more of that? Cool. We're going to continue to score possession after possession after possession. We'll even score on your guys' possessions if you want us to. That was firing me up, because it's cool, dude, you want to be a loser about this and really bleed this out? We're just going to put it on you and embarrass you. And Dave Aranda, not that he needed more embarrassment this season, but you just got it.
Yeah, it was kind of embarrassment of him. He was embarrassing himself. And I think it's kind of one of those overcoaching things where your job is in limbo in a way. And you're just see, hey, I'm still coaching to the very end. Interim AD1 and interim AD2. I am coaching down to the very last wire because I give a damn about this program. I went bald for this program. That's how stressed out I am as Dave Aranda. But that is our love to play of the game with our friends over at Arizona Lottery. Boys, it has been a banner post-game show. Do we have any last news and notes before we get on out of here?
What a season, man. I did not expect it. I think, we've said it a million times, but I'll say it again. Brent Brennan, I apologize. I did not believe. I did not #believe, as the Ted Lasso sign would tell you. And that's on me, because clearly things are going the right direction in Tucson. And as that clip that Cohen sent in said, like, that's not happening everywhere. What this program has going on right now from a culture standpoint is special.
Yeah, 1,000%. Cohen, any last vibes, any last notes, any last intelligent things to say as you are prone to do?
And I just think we got to live the season out to its fullest. We have, 2 games left at least. I'm over here mapping out the Big 12 conference championship odds, like how can we get in, but I don't think it's going to happen. But still, the season that Arizona has had has just been, everything I could have wanted and more. And so I think just seeing them continue, they still have 2 games left. I feel like if they finish the season with a Territorial Cup loss, it's not going to ruin the season, but it definitely leaves things on a sour note. So I think leaving with that one is just going to immortalize this season. And, that's all you want going into next season.
Yeah, 1,000%. He is Cohen Kinney, as Damon said. Follow him on Twitter at Cohen_Kinney or just Cohen Kinney?
Just full
Cohen Kinney. He's doing all types of good work over there. He's posting presser clips, posting his own takes as well. He's a football sicko as well. So make sure to check him out. Cohen, thank you for all that you do, and thanks for the clips today.
Thank you guys so much.
My man.
Yes, indeed. Classic Cohen, vintage Cohen to end the season, shall I say.
Turn back the clock, Cohen Kinney.
Turning back the clock was our still in college intern Cohen Kinney.
Yeah,
but
he's
Damon,
like 21.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, this was a great game for the University of Arizona football Wildcats. You live for the first time in the first opportunity at Casino del Sol Stadium. Were the vibes any different now that it's named a different stadium? Did it feel like a new era?
I won't say that the vibes felt different. I still, like I said, I was a little bit disappointed in the support today, just in terms of sheer numbers. But I did think that the people in the crowd brought it in terms of energy, and we're trying to show out for an Arizona team and some seniors in particular that have given everything to this program. So yeah, I mean, listen, would I love to see more people in the stands? Absolutely. Hopefully, a strong end to this season will do nothing but hype up this fan base going into next year.
I'm pumped for not only next year, but the Territorial Cup next week. He is Damon Fairall. You can follow him at Damon Dawg. That is Damon DAWG on the Joke app, known as Twitter, also known as X. You can follow me at KevoPost. That is KEVOPOSTS. You can follow us at PHNX_Wildcats, where we post all of our Arizona athletics coverage from A to Z, pretty much. And thank goodness that Arizona got this W today, Damon. And let's get on out of here.
Let's do it. Shout out Cohen again. Shout out all the people who are in the stands for this one. And shout out just Arizona football fans across the country, just having a great season and getting to, watch a team completely turn it around against all expectations. We appreciate everybody. And, shout out my guy Kevin for holding down the fort in Phoenix. Means the world to me, allowing me to get down here and see this inaugural game at Casino del Sol Stadium. He is my guy for a reason. Shout out Kevin. Follow Kevin at KevoPosts. Follow me at Damon Dawg, that's DAWG, and follow us at PHNX_Wildcats on all socials, except for TikTok, we're at AZ Wildcats Pod. We will be back with a full week of coverage, Arizona basketball on Monday, if I'm not mistaken, right? So we'll be back doing a post-game show on Monday for Arizona versus Denver. Then we'll be doing Tuesday, Thursday, and then in lead up to that Friday show where we will do pregame and postgame for the most important game of the season, that one against the hated Arizona State Sun Devils. Can't wait for it. Let's get this cut back where it belongs in Tucson. And until next time, I appreciate everybody for being here. We'll catch you on a Monday postgame. Peace out. Bear down.
And go Cats. Let's bring home that cup, baby. Bear down.
We all silly like the mayor.